In this recording, we're going to do a very simple drawing, and we're going to start here from the startup screen in AutoCAD. And what I'd like to do here is I'd like to pick this icon here up at the top to start a new file. So once you select that, you'll get the Select Template dialog. And here what I'd like to do is to click on this down arrow and open with no template using imperial units. So this basically gives you a pretty blank drawing with really not much setup. And the first thing we'd like to do here to do our simple little drawing is to go into a command called units. So what I did is I just started typing the word units, which is one of the way, of course, that you can enter commands. Once you get to this dialog, you can click here to set your unit type, architectural, and then how you want the unit to display or what the precision is. This is just on-screen precision. The rest here we don't really need to change right now, so we'll just leave that as is, and you can see here that it's currently set to inches. So we'll click on OK. Now I'll start to draw a little table, and I'll also include some chairs, so it'll be a little small dining room table. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up here. This time I'll choose a command or a tool by using the ribbon to start the command. And you'll see a couple of different types of prompting, one down here at the command line and one also attached to the cursor. And what I'll do is type a coordinate, 0, 0. So that's a starting point, which is the origin. Now you can see here that the my rubber band line here appears to be attached to a point off the screen. So I'm going to just use my middle mouse wheel and do that a couple of times. I'm actually just rolling it towards me. And it zooms out. And what I'll do then is I'll just bring my cursor down here, and at some point you'll notice that it kind of snaps to the horizontal. And once it does, I'll then type in 48 for 48 inches and press enter. Now you can see once again it has chosen a point off the screen, and what I'll do is do my best to bring the drawing to the screen, and I'll point vertically and type another coordinate or another distance, 36. And you'll notice here at this point I'm trying to use my mouse wheel, but nothing really is happening. And actually I've managed to kind of zoom out or zoom in way too close. So it's kind of getting stuck here, and what I need to do is actually exit my command. So sometimes AutoCAD doesn't allow you to do a zoom in the middle of a command if it needs to, as they call, regenerate the drawing. So I'll go here to this little toolbar and click this icon that says Zoom Extents. And once you do that, you'll notice down here it says regenerating the model, and you can now use your mouse wheel to zoom out just a little bit. So I'll start the line command again, but this time I'll do it a little differently. I'll just type the letter L, and you can see the letter L is kind of a shortcut for the line command. So at this point I'd like to start from this point, my last point. Now I could probably figure out what the coordinates of that are, but you'll notice also that by default AutoCAD has this thing that's called object snaps enabled, and it is finding my endpoint of the line automatically. You can see it, how it identifies that with kind of a green box, and it also a little tooltip that says endpoint. So I'm going to click here and drag now to the left and enter 48 again. and then come to the origin and just snap using my endpoint object snap. And oh, that didn't seem to work. There we go. And once I've done that, I'll now hit escape. And here I'm using my middle mouse wheel by pressing and dragging, okay, to pan the drawing so it's more centered. Okay, so I've actually created the table part of the table. Now I want to draw a couple of chairs. And I'll start by drawing a little line here. Now, it's very possible that you do not have this snap enabled. Okay, so you may be trying to do what I'm doing and it's not really working. So what I'm going to do is just show you here something I had done before. But if you have an object snap which is currently not working, and this one here is a midpoint object snap, you need to go down here to this area of the screen and click on this down arrow. And you'll notice here these are all the object snaps that work continuously. So typically when AutoCAD is out of the box, it's very possible that this is off. So in that case, what will happen, well, it takes a little while to figure out it shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, you'll see here it's not finding midpoints. It finds endpoints and other types of points, but no midpoints. So you do have to come here, turn this on, come back to your drawing, and now it'll find your midpoint. So what I want to do is draw like a side of a chair here. So I'm just going to draw this about, let's say, 4 inches. Okay, I'm going to kind of draw this as if the chair is underneath or partially underneath the table. So I draw a little line there, and then I'm going to draw here a line which is 14 inches long. So about approximately the width of a chair, and then finish off here by clicking on the line. And you can see it snaps to that line. And if you kind of zoom in here just to make sure, you know, did I miss or not? No, it's right on the line. So what I'm going to do now is I want to draw an arc, and I want to use a method of drawing arcs, which is actually the default method, which is an arc which passes through 3 points. Now I want this curve to be approximately 2 inches off of this line. So I am going to draw a 2-inch line here as a reference. Okay. Now I'll just draw my arc. Now you'll see here up there in your ribbon, there's actually many different kinds of arcs, but this is the default type of arc. If you wanted to see more types of arcs, you would click on this down arrow, and these are different methods that you can use. Okay, so I'm going to click here 3-point arc from there to there to there. Okay, now I'm going to use a command which is really commonly used called offset. Okay, so it allows me to take an arc and offset it a certain distance. So I'm going to type 1 as my offset distance. I'm going to click on my arc, and then I'm going to bring my cursor outside of the arc. Okay, you can see I can 2 choices there. So click out here, hit escape, end of the command, and just finish off my chair like this, drawing these 2 little segments there. Okay, now I don't really need these 2 lines, so did that rather quickly, but I just, without a command enabled or started, I'm just clicking here from right to left. Okay, and what it does is it selects these 2 lines. Okay, this is actually what's called a crossing window for selecting objects. Now I can type the letter E, which is for erase, and press enter. So I'm pre-selecting my objects, then starting a command. So the next thing I'm going to do, I don't really know, I know I started this in the middle here, but I don't really know what that distance is. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to type here DI. It's a shortcut, once again, for something called the distance command. So DI, press enter, and I'll click here, and I'll click there. It's actually showing me on screen, and it'll also show me down here that the distance there was 10 inches. So what I like to do is I like to take this chair and move it halfway. So I'm going to type here M for move. Okay. Now this time I've done this a little differently. I actually started my command, and I'm also going to select my objects differently. I'm going to select my objects by picking from left to right. This selects objects a little differently. It doesn't select this line. Had I done it in the opposite direction, from right to left, it would have selected the line. So it's a different way of selecting objects, whether they're just touching the box or completely inside the box. So once I select my objects here, it's waiting for me to finish, so I have to press enter. And it asks me here for some more information. What's the base point? So my base point, actually, it's not terribly important. What's important is the distance between my base point and the next point, which is the second point of displacement. So since I was 10 inches off the edge, I want to move this 5. So I point to the right, make sure it's snapped to the horizontal, and I type 5 as a distance. So now I have this in the right place. Zoomed out a little bit. And the rest of this is going to be quite quick and easy. We're going to actually use a command called mirror. So mirror, again, I'm using a shortcut here. You can find these on the ribbon if you want, but I usually find, once you kind of know your commands, that this is going to be the fastest way to work. So I select mirror, and I will do a window box. Okay, selected my objects. Now I need to accept the objects. So here I'm going to indicate a mirror line, or it's basically I'm going to draw a line of symmetry. So I'm going to click here and go vertical and click. Okay, you can see where the object is going to appear. Now there is one last question. Erase your source objects. So do you want a mirror copy or a mirror which has no object here? Just like, could call it a move mirror if you want, but erase the source object. Do you want this object to be erased? And typically the default there is no. So that gives you a mirror copy. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing for the other side. Okay, so I'm going to select all my objects like that. Again, I used a box like this, right? Because I did not want to select that line. All right, so select all those, press enter. Okay, need to draw a mirror line. Now again, my object snap midpoint is going to help me here draw a mirror line right down the center. Okay, and again, don't erase your source objects. So there's your little dining room table. Now we did all that, and well, we didn't save the file once. So obviously we could lose right now everything that we did. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to call this, let's see here. I want to maybe, we're working on this chapter. So we're going to call this table. And I'm going to use an underscore dining and I'm going to call this small. Okay, and then hit this button, save, so that my file is now saved. So you can see how that goes pretty quickly. I went through a lot of different commands and different ways of working, but this is commonly how a small drawing would be created using a variety of different commands with AutoCAD. Okay, so we'll do something a little more challenging next time, and but for the time being here, we'll just save. Well, we already saved it, but we'll end with that, and I'll see you next time.